Diane, the Creative Inkster. I am back. Today is Monday, August 29th, and we're going to have a little creative escape room. And this is what we're going to play with tonight. This is one of my upcoming cards for the October card class, kit to go / card class in person, if we're able to have it in person, but more on that later. So it's good to be back and sharing some ideas with you. I'm in a different spot in the craft room, although it probably doesn't look like that to you, with a different lighting setup. So hopefully this is going to work okay, and we're not going to have any buffering issues or that kind of thing, but you can check in and let me know. If you're here, please let me know you're here. Give me a comment, a shout out. I love to know who's watching. And if you're watching on the replay, well, you should leave me a comment and we can connect. Let me know what you think about these cards. So I was off a bit last week. I got the dreaded COVID, tested positive. I finished my 5 days of isolation, and I'm now into my 5 days of taking it easy and being careful. So I am back in the craft room now with a little bit more energy, and this is all good. So tonight's card is going to be all about this beautiful piece here, using some vellum with some writing on it. So if you don't know, excuse me, we have some vellum 12 by 12 sheets. Some of them have writing on them. Some are black, some are white in the package. Some looks like maps, and other are just words in a different sort of orientation than this kind of squared bit. But we're going to use this up because this paper at 12 by 12, I had a hard time seeing how I'd want to use this best. And I saw this great idea about coloring it, so that's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to grab some scratch paper because I don't want to wreck up this nice new piece of grid paper I got going here. So grab a piece of this vellum. Now you could do this with regular vellum as well, just the same way. It's just nice having the writing. Now my first one's going to be using the Let's Set Sail stamp set and corresponding punch, because I use these to make my team tutorials and had a lot of fun playing with it, and so I'm going to kind of duplicate a bit of that here. So I'm going to set those aside for a sec. So that means I want some fun colors to go with. So here are our pieces. We got ourselves a card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4 and folded in the middle. Grab your trusty bone folder. And there you go, you've got a card base. How did I get 2 of these? Right out a piece of cardstock just by cutting it in half. So this color is Sweet Sorbet. And I've got a matching Stampin' Blend for coloring with. And then I also thought I'd go with Daffodil Delight as another color. So I just grabbed 2 colors. All right, what you need is a layer to put on here. It can be pattern paper, it can be cardstock that's embossed, it can just be a plain piece of cardstock, whatever you like. I just thought with this sailboat that the painted texture 3D looked a bit like choppy water. You know, I was as close as I could get to waves. So there we go. I know we've had all kinds of other embossing folders in the past, but they're not current. And as a demonstrator, I agree to demonstrate current product as much as possible. So I'm going with what I've got. So I'm just going to glue this down in place. And I really like using either dimensionals or liquid glue on an embossed layer. Why? Because with an embossed layer, you've got nooks and crannies, right? Where it is embossed and debossed and all of that, and you want it to stick down well, and so that's going to really help to do that. Hello, anybody out there? Please let me know if you are. All right, so there's our choppy water. And then using the same layout, this piece is 2 1/4 by 5 1/4, so that's going to fit nicely on there. The black with the Sweet Sorbet opposite is quite striking. So this paper here, and same as this one, this is from our paper packs with the in colors. You get 4 different patterns in the 5 in colors. You get quite a bit of paper to play around with. So I'm going to use this side with the lines on it instead of the flowers, because we're doing boats here, so a little bit different. Normally I use the flowers. But these paper packs are great for having just something to work with that isn't floral, that isn't baby, that isn't specifically on a theme. They're just really nice patterns you can work with. So I feel like I cut that guy a little bit different. Not quite. Yeah, I cut my black a little bit long. So if you find that happens to you, grab your scissors. And once you've got this piece glued down, hi Val, then you can use that piece on the edge as your mark. And then I can just cut it off like that. No one's the wiser. Well, Val is, because she saw me do it. All right, that's going on here, and that's gluing right down. We're getting to the fun part where we're going to do some coloring. Slap this down somewhere below halfway. So there's probably what's on this side? My little trusty ruler out here. Just over an inch and an eighth, and about 3/4 of an inch on the bottom. Doesn't matter where it lands. And then you can shore it up nicely like that. Okay, there's that. Then we've got, I don't know what I've got this for. Not sure. And then I've got a circle. Could be any size circle. Actually, that one's a bit big. In my little stash bin, I have other size of ones. So I'm going to grab a smaller one. These are just like leftovers when I cut things out and I've got leftover circles. So I'm going to see which one I want to put on there. I'm not quite sure which one yet. All right, so we've got the nuts and bolts of the card ready. Now we're going to get into the coloring. So like I said, this is our vellum design papers. I've already colored some on this side for something else. So what I want out of this punch is, that's what the black was for. I'm going to punch out, I had a plan, I'm going to punch out the boat shape with this piece of black, but then for the sails, I'm going to put this on them. So I'm going to take the brush end, and I should show you the proper way to open these. You've got 3 dots at the top of your Stampin' Blends. You kind of hold and push on those, and it helps you too when you line it up to put this back in. You want to make sure that that nub goes into the circle in the bottom, and then press it down in place. So I'm just using basically, it's hard to tell with this punch how much space I need, but just to be safe, I'm just going to do a good size quadrant. So I literally am on the top of the writing, and I'm using the Sweet Sorbet Light. I'm going to do that much there. Pardon me. And then I can see when I can see with my punch that I can slide this in, and I'm basically going to get enough of that sail out of there. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Mark. You finally get to watch. You're just a gadabout. That's why. You're all over the place. Lucky you. Good that you're here. I'm glad that you popped in. I'm really, really glad. So I'm still letting that dry, right? That's what our hope is. Now, if it's not dark enough and you want it to be darker, go on back in and add some more color. This is your project. You do what you want. This was the light Sweet Sorbet too. So I'm going to let that dry. And then over here on this side, I'm going to use the daffodil for the other sail. I'm going to do the same thing. It doesn't matter if I go over. It's not going to hurt anything. We're all good. We're all friends here. We can play with colors together. And I'm using the sod. I should have mentioned that. I'm not going down on top like this. That's really going to press down the end of your marker, your Stampin' Blends. And these guys are pricey. You want to take good care of them. All right, so we almost dry there. So I did it on the good side or the right side of it. I don't really like that wording, but it's kind of what we call it, right? The right side and the wrong side. All right, so here's one sail punched out. And then I'm going to try to find a way to get this one in here. I'm probably going to have to cut off. Like, that's what you find when you have these punches, is that sometimes to get it in where you want it to go, you have to trim off the paper a little bit. And if you don't have enough to hang on to, if your piece that's cut is too small, grab a Post-it note. It doesn't even have to be the big ones, just those small little 1x2s, and hang that on the edge, and then that gives you something to hold on to while you're putting it through your punch. So let's get this in here. This is looking a bit like Tequila Sunrise, to be honest. Not that I know what that looks like, but the colors remind me of that. So we're fiddling to get this guy in here. I don't have a Post-it note handy. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Alrighty. I'm going to take that guy out. We got a bunch of scraps left over here. Let's toss them out of the way. And we have our sales. So this is in the annual catalog. You might not even see it. It was in the January to June. And it kind of carried over, which was cool. So it's under paper accessories, page 139, vellum 12 by 12 layering designs. 12 sheets, 4 of 3 different designs for $13.75. That's a really good value. And you know what? If you've got this vellum pack too, there's one here that's 60 sheets. They're smaller. They're 3 3/4 by 5. But there's some more vellum sheets. I need to play with those. I have got those and I haven't played with them. So I always see something new. So that's what you can do with the 12 by 12. Alrighty, let's get back to putting things together. And then with this punch, I'm going to punch out the body of my boat. Now, because of the way that the punch is set up, I'm going to get a few extra bits. That's fine. We can just tuck those in the scrap bin. Alrighty, so now I wanted to see on my card whether I wanted the large circle or whether I could get away with a smaller circle. Let's see. Let's just audition the card. My friend Lori LaRose says that, I think, a lot. I think it's Lori I've heard it from, where you just kind of lay your pieces down and then play with the placement, and then you have kind of a really good idea. Now, I want to put a greeting on there, so the small circle that I've chosen is not going to work. We need a bigger circle. Alrighty, let's move on to the bigger circle. We'll put that one back in the scrap bin because I'm sure I can use it sometime. And we want to use a greeting. Excuse me. Thankfully, my new placement for the camera has me much closer to the ink pads. So there we go. Hope it's your best day ever. It's the one I think I'm going to use. Well, that's still pretty big, but again, in the vein of auditioning the card, what happens if we do that? Oops. And then we stick our, it's a bit big, isn't it? Let's see, what could we do? Adventure awaits. Can I get that on there? I could put that over here, but that's a little awkward. That's not really what I wanted. This is what I wanted. We are going to glue this down, don't you worry. We're just playing around with some placement here. And then where we're going to, I think that the greeting's going to go over here. Alrighty then. So what I found with these was you can either put a whole bunch of dimensionals on the back and pop it up. And for that, I would kind of recommend you take your dimensionals and cut a really thin sliver, because that's not a very wide edge. It's not even a 1/4 inch. It's like 1/8 of an inch. So we can do that. So let's cut a little sliver off. Got a nice long sliver here. And we will put that down the length of the mast. See, I can be a sailor too. I don't know very much about sailing. Do you? I took sailing lessons as a teenager. That's kind of the extent of it. I don't think I was very good. It was summer camp, right? A way to take care of the kids for the summer. My sister and I had to bicycle quite a distance, I might add, to go to this camp, and then sail all day, and then ride home. It's back in the day before parents would drive you places. All right, there's our boat ready to go on. And then we're going to put the sails on with some glue dots. So put this guy on here. Whoop. All right, so since it's already popped up this much, I'm just going to glue the bottom down. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for popping in. Hope all is well in your corner of the world. Where did glue go? Okay, so I was saying that rather than pop this layer up, I'm going to glue this straight down. Let's try and get it a little bit centered. Let's go for center. And you know what? If I don't want the greeting on the front, I can always put the greeting on the inside. Oh, I have birds too. Oh, that would kind of balance it, right? Yeah, that works. Okay, so a couple of things. You can put a little drop of glue on the corners. I don't find that it holds it up really well, so I'm going to actually put a glue dots on them. And do I have little glue dots left now? I think I used those up. So I've got our mini glue dots that come on a roll. You might have to fold these guys over because they're pretty big for mini glue dots. I'm going to put one on the bottom, and then I'm going to put one a little higher up here. There we go. And these are going to go flush down, even though the sailboat is actually popped up. Don't lose those guys. That's okay. It's going to look great. So it's going to be here. Normally I stick them in and everything, and this is just another way to do it. Don't always have to do the same thing. So you just want to get that angle of where the sail goes, so you'll know which side of your colored vellum you want to use. Now, you might be asking, can I use any markers to do this? Well, I wouldn't recommend our Stampin' Write markers or non-alcohol based markers because I feel like it's going to just wipe right off. But the alcohol based markers, that's the ticket for these. Pardon me. All right, so we've got our black Memento ink and we've got a block. We're going to add some little birdies here. Now the birds you have to look at carefully to make sure you got them flying the right way up. Let's take a scratch paper run and make sure that we've got enough ink on there. Perfect. Add a little more. I'm going to add these guys up here because I've already got my white is already embossed, so I don't want to try and color on it. I feel like that could go poorly. Clean that one stamp off and tuck them away. So with our small stamps, I don't know about you, but I can't tell you how many times I've lost a stamp. So I highly recommend, since they come in the cases like this, that you actually put them away as you go. That's a good way to know that you've got them all. And they don't end up on the bottom of ink pads or on your foot or God knows where on the back of the stamp case, whatever. There we go. Adventure awaits. Oh, that turned out way better than I thought it was going to turn out. So that's a plus. What do you think? Kind of nice, eh? Can add a little bit of embellishment or not. That's totally fine. So here's the original one that I did with a butterfly. So I punched out, I'm sorry, with a dragonfly. I punched this out afterwards. Like I said, this is a class card. All right, I'm going to make one more tonight. I'm going to just, like I said, put the stamp away. Look at all the tricks I'm teaching you. Don't lose your stamps. Put them back in the case. What a great idea. All right, so we're going to try another one. This is going to be a Halloween-y card. So if you like Halloween, this one's right up your alley. So we're going to start off with our card base again. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, folded in the middle. This is crushed curry. So in the July to December mini catalog, there's a host set of paper, and that's the one I'm using here. And it's got all kinds of party type, event rather type paper. So there's Halloween, there's Christmas, there's things you can use for birthdays, there's every day. It's kind of a little mishmash pack of paper. So that's the one I'm using. And this layers lovely onto this piece. So this is 2 by 5 1/4. That's 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. So let's layer these guys up. These striped background piece is kind of nice too, isn't it? That would make a nice background piece. But I like these ghosts and jack-o'-lanterns. There we go. Shore that up nicely. There we go. It's even top and bottom. And then for the embossing on this guy, I use the Time Worn Type, it's called. So it kind of has words. Don't try to read them because they don't make sense. They're nonsensical words. Hi Jane, welcome. But it has some words on it. It has some just some scratchy pieces or erased pieces. It reminds me of like literally time-worn paper. So that can go on here. And we will just go ahead. So this is a nice embossing folder to have in your stash because it goes with everything. You can use it on just about anything. It's kind of like the old polka dots that we used to have, or the brick and mortar, which is of course my very favorite. But this one I find it works on just about everything. So there we go. We've got that down. Now we're going to put this layer on top. So we're following the same pattern as the other two cards with our strip across here. What an easy layout. If you're taking notes, it's good to have those 10 card layouts. 5 would do you and keep you in business. But if you're a demonstrator, have those 10 or 15 general ones that you like to use. And it just makes life so much simpler. All right, we need to pull in our, we've got a circle this time. We've got a crushed curry circle instead of white. And we need to pull in this paper because we're going to do some coloring. So this time I'm using the light basic black because the punch I'm using for this is a new one, new to me. I just got it. And it's the Witch Hat Builder Punch. Okay, and it's got the little brim piece that goes across here. Oopsie. I just got some glue on it. And it also has 3 stars. It's a lot for that's a good punch. It's got a lot of stuff with it. So I took a little test run to see how the basic black light would show up on there. And I think it's iridescent enough for what I want. So once again, we push on the 3 dots. And we just color up this paper. Make it as light or as dark as you like. Give it a little bit of chance to dry before you start punching it out. That's, you know what? Looking at that, I don't think that's going to be big enough. Nope. I need some more if I want that hat to be fully. So I just want to get a little idea how much further I had to kind of go for my coloring. I don't want to overdo it, don't want to underdo it. There we go. There's our words, and it does not matter that some of it is going to be a little bit lighter and a little bit darker. It's going to start to meld nicely. So I'm mostly just wanting to get the hat piece done. There we go. Not too bad. I do end up with some bits and pieces. There it is, and it's going to go on here. Now I have a stamp set called Cottage Wreaths, which has 4 perfect fall greetings. Hello, grateful, Merry Christmas, and boo. So I'm going to use the boo. Look at all these goodies in here. What I do when I make extra die cuts from a set of dies is I stick them in the stamp case, and then one day when I want to put a card together, I got some bits and pieces to play with. So back to our black and white. Or black ink rather. So there's our boo, our little boo greeting. And the hat's going to go here. So the boo's going to go there. There we go. I don't need much. And it's a circle. So if I put it on a little bit crooked, that's totally fine. Because afterwards I can go back across it. Now I see that I'm missing a little bit of the black on the corner there. All right, let's get this out of the way. Our scratch paper. Now our hat's almost ready. I wanted some of the stars out of the crushed curry, so I grabbed a little scratch piece of that, a scrap piece of that left over, and see whether I want to add those on as well. And then from the black, I'm going to do the hat brim up here. There we go. And that's that piece. And that's just going to go across here. So we'll put a little bit of liquid glue on that to hold it in place. Tomorrow night I've got Technique Tuesday, and I have something that I had planned for last week, but my voice went as I caught COVID, so decided to give you, I think I put a recorded something up, something like that, and but we've got something to do, so it's going to be fun. Alrighty, so the little stars, they can just, I'm just auditioning the card again. The stars can kind of just use them like embellishments, just like wherever you want. There we go. And I was going to use this mesh ribbon. It's been tied because I had this in my scrap bin, and I was going to just put this behind. I love how this, but I've glued it down, haven't I? Well, that's not going to work so well. I love how you can see through it. So we're going to use this scrap piece up kind of like that. I know the boo is a little bit crooked. Actually, because it doesn't really fray, I think I can cut it in half. Let's use it on a second card. It doesn't really fray, I mean, because the pieces are all separate. So we're going to put it down here, but you can't really glue it down onto your cardstock. You need to put some glue back here. And you can either use tear and tape, which is what I think I will use. Just trying to get this straight. Or you can use some Stampin' Seal. You just don't want to use liquid glue. Liquid glue is not going to help it adhere very well. Alrighty, here we go. 1, 2, 3. And then we're just going to plop this guy down on here. Oh, we should have tried to get it a little bit straighter, huh? Let's see. Let's just lay this over top. It's still a bit long, though. Hold on a second. Let's get moving on this. Just sort of lay it down over top, and then I can see when I go to put this down that my boo is straight. And then I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back, and that's going to help hold the whole thing in place. Are you with me? Good. There we go. That helps hold the ribbon down. So 1, 2, 3 little dimensionals. And you can still see that pretty pattern paper through, but we've got some extra with that, something extra with this mesh. And then the little hat's going to go on here. And when you're working with vellum, typically it is, once it's colored, you can hide the glue dots and such, but I want to pop this up a little bit, so I'm actually going to put dimensionals right where the brim is, because you won't see that. And I think the best way to do that is actually just put one there. I don't think you're going to see that through there too badly. There we go. There, so it kind of pops up a little bit. It's just a little bit more dimension than flat down on it. And then I'm going to put these little stars. I'm just going to put little glue dots, little dots of glue in 3 spots. Don't think about it too much, because if you overthink it, you'll never put them down. And put the little dots there. There we go. How much fun is that? So you could really dress this up a little bit more with perhaps some jewels on those to center them out. Lots of different stuff you can do with that, but I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to show you the 3, and I really look forward to hearing what you think about it. How much fun is that? I like this one. I've really been having fun playing with the Let's Set Sail bundle. All right, that's it for me. It's a wrap. Thanks very much for watching, folks. I'll post the cards, and I'll wish you a good night. See you tomorrow. Thanks, Glenda. Take good care. Bye for now.